里，脑波，大脑神经元之间传递信号时产生的生物电，记录下来就是脑波。
Millions of neurons are syncing up, sometimes for just a fraction of a second, and generating electrical ups and downs that we can record as brainwaves.
种类根据频率的大小，脑波分成5种，用希腊字母表示分别为 delta、zeta、alpha、beta 和 gamma。MRI 显示，音乐一响，脑波就会活跃起来。
I'm going to go into this fMRI machine. A tiny tube will surround me. We'll get a baseline reading of my brain, and then I'm going to listen to some music, and we're going to see how my brain responds.
These are scans of my brain. The areas in red are where my activity is above average, in blue, below average. And as you can see, there's red activity all over my brain, not just in one specific area.
4. 脑波交响乐。纽约大学声学研究生成功把脑波录下来，并转换成数码音频。我们来听听。
The sounds you're listening to were generated from data. Data that came from a recording of a teeny tiny pocket of space between 2 brain cells. Simone Sun studies neuroscience in the Chen lab at NYU Langone. We paid a visit to the lab, a kind of synaptic recording studio, to gather the data that will eventually end up in that song we just played.
5. 音乐与大脑。音乐是怎样影响我们大脑的？
These days, we hear music all the time. It wakes us up, it motivates our workouts, keeps us company on our commutes. It doesn't matter what kind of music it is, music itself has the ability to affect our moods and our bodies in all sorts of ways. We nod our heads, we sway, we dance.
When music enters and then gets shuttled off to different parts of the brain, it stops at specialized processing units in auditory cortex. They track loudness and pitch and rhythm and timbre and things like that. There's visual cortex activation when you're reading music as a musician or watching music. Motor cortex when you're tapping your feet, snapping your fingers, clapping your hands. The cerebellum, which mediates the emotional responses. The memory system in the hippocampus, hearing a familiar passage, finding it somewhere in your memory banks. Music is going on in both halves of the brain, the left and the right, the front and the back, the inside and the outside.
Back at USC, researchers have been studying kids who play music over the past 5 years to see how it affects their development. The multitasking areas of their brains understandably lit up, but they've seen other results too.
Music training over the course of 5 years has had benefits in cognitive skills and decision making, also had some benefits in prosocial behavior, and we've also seen changes in the associated brain structures.
Did you hear that? Changes in brain structures. They found that the brains of children who have studied music have stronger connections between the right and left hemispheres, and that can make them better, more creative problem solvers.
感谢观看，愿音乐带给你健康、